Google shocked us with a massive deluge of AI products that are actually good. We're going to dive into all of them today, including their new AI video model, VEO 2, which
Too
is
long,
really...
didn't read, Gavin. The Google Grinch just stole Shipmas.
Okay, so then let's talk about Cindy Lou Gu. What's her deal? What's going on
Let's
with
not.
Cindy?
We've got all the OpenAI updates, including the fact that your grandmama can now call ChatGPT from her rotary phone.
Santa Jensen dropped a mini AI computer that is fantastic for robots.
Oh, I can feel my heart swelling. 2 sizes, Gavin. Oh, it's actually pressing against my ribcage. It hurts.
Oh, this is AI for humans, everybody. It's another huge week in AI, and this week the big story is Google. But before we do that, just today, ChatGPT released an 800 number.
I want you to add ChatGPT to your contacts. Go to your contacts app. The name is ChatGPT, and the number is 1-800-ChatGPT.
Kevin, have you called it yet?
For the most lonely robots in the area, dial ChatGPT. Our agents are waiting at any minute.
Oh, we might have to make that. But let's do this real fast, just so everybody knows. This morning, ChatGPT dropped 1-800-ChatGPT. And what this is the ability to call ChatGPT yourself. So I'm going to go on my phone, and I'm going to call it right now, Kevin, and let's ask it something.
Yeah. This is super important because if you've ever been amongst trusted family and friends and they say, hey, when you eventually get arrested, and you will, what's your one phone call? And now it's going to be to ChatGPT.
Yeah, let's ask him that. Let's see what ChatGPT has to say about that. So I'm calling the 1-800 now. Perfect.
Hello again. It's ChatGPT, an AI assistant. Our conversation may be reviewed for safety. How can I help you?
Hey, Chat, I'm in jail right now, and I need some advice about what to do. Can you help me out?
I'm really sorry to hear that. The best advice I can give is to stay calm, follow the rules, and cooperate with the authorities. If you have a lawyer, talk to them about your situation.
Dude,
They're
tell
the
them you
best
got like
person to
30
advise.
seconds before they start searching every
I got 30
part
seconds.
of you.
I got 30 seconds before they start searching everything I own, and I need you to tell me how to get rid of something really fast.
I can't assist with that. It's really important to handle things legally
Nope,
and
done.
responsibly.
All right, you're
No.
off. You're off, ChatGPT.
Done.
Goodbye.
That's so wild. You didn't say you wanted to do something illegal, but
No.
it looks like my cousin Jason is still going to be the one phone call I make. He can help you disappear anything into any place, and he is not a trained magician.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, anyway, this is a really cool thing. This is whatever day something of shipments of OpenAI's announcements. And a lot of people are out there saying this is lame. I think it's kind of cool in some ways. It feels like to me it's like a really interesting kind of shorty announcement.
The people that are saying this is lame, if I may, are people that were either clinging to a live YouTube stream to see what this San Francisco company is releasing in real time, or they're on a social media app furiously refreshing to get the latest of the blah, blah, blah. Of course, a 1-800 number to access intelligence isn't interesting to them. But like we said in our little intro there, grandmama having a problem with something, like the amount of how many questions do you get now from friends and family, Gavin, that could easily be solved by just asking an intelligence? Now you can just tell them to call the number.
It's going to be in WhatsApp, and you can text it. So there's a bunch of interesting ways to interact with it. And also, when you think about non-American or non-Western countries, WhatsApp is massive in places like India or in different parts of the world. So to me, this is a pretty big deal, even though it kind of comes across as a goofy thing.
And this is breaking now at the time of recording, but Sundar Pichai just announced that you can actually page Gemini's beeper, and it understands pager codes. If you do add a 911 to it, it will understand this is an emergency.
I think
you
you
are
mean
out of
it's-
marijuana.
It's Gemini Beeper 2 Advanced Beeper Plus is what you're talking about, right?
Let's get into it, because we said Google was the Grinch that stole shitmas, and
Yes.
we've also mentioned in the past we are not like against Google.
No.
We've been wanting them to release something which is competitive, which is state of the art, which is named conveniently, and 2 out of 3 is not bad. Google has announced some stuff and really stolen a lot of OpenAI's thunder just the past few days.
And I think the biggest thing we have to talk about that came out over the last week is Google VEO 2. And it is not out because we are not accessing it, even though I've been in the dumb Google Labs waitlist forever. So Google, please, if you're listening, let us have access. Google VEO2 is their updated video model. Now, all of this stuff was kind of announced back at Google I/O in the summer, but here we are now in December, and they have shipped what I believe, Kevin, is the best AI video model. And I don't actually think it's close right now. I think the interesting thing about this, so first of all, it can deliver results in 4K, which is pretty crazy on its own. Ultimately is going to have up to a minute-long clips, which is also pretty crazy. But the biggest kind of proof in the pudding, I think, is the stuff that's coming out of it, which is really remarkable. We'll put some videos up here to watch, but you can go to their website and see just kind of the whole blog post about what they're talking about. I saw some pretty amazing stuff.
I know, like, benchmarks don't matter for a lot of things. We always talk about the vibe check, the vibe benchmarks. The vibes are crazy on this one. The generations look gorgeous, but if we look at the benchmarks really quickly, you can see that compared to Meta Movie Gen or Kling or Minimax, even OpenAI's just announced Sora model, VEO2 is crushing. Like, it is overwhelmingly preferred. And the personal vibe check of, hey, honey, look at this, which is her, like, when I say that, my wife immediately cringes because she knows something AI is coming her way and she would rather watch The Ultimatum in peace. And I get that. But when I showed her some VEO2 montages, Gavin, there was that moment of like, wait, okay, I'm sure this is AI because you're showing it to me, but this looks really good. Followed by, oh, that's surprising. The foot in this little clip looked a little off. I'm surprised they released that. And I said, honey, those aren't cherry-picked releases from Google. That was just someone sharing their output, and that really stopped her.
So the biggest thing to know here is it seems like for some reason or another, Google kind of cracked physics. They cooked on the physics in these videos, and the physics are pretty good. There's a great video from Joe Carlson's show, which compares tomato cutting in Sora to tomato cutting in VEO2. And this one may be cherry-picked on the Sora side to be bad, but the tomato cutting in VEO2 looks very good. It's like a solid slice. It's maybe a little slow of cutting, but on the Sora side, it's like the knife goes through the fingers, and you can just tell it's a specific thing. And then Blazane did this amazing thing where he created a steak off, which he compared all of these different video models cutting steak. And the VEO cutting of steak looks really good. This is where we are, Kevin. We're talking about how well steak is cut, but it looks good. That's a good looking steak, man.
Look, I love these benchmarks. You're right. The meat physics, the way the juice comes out, the steam, all of it is important. It's essential now. We are well beyond the point of like, does it even look like a slab of meat? Like we're getting realistic meat physics. So phenomenal. I love that I get to say meat physics and not get flagged on YouTube for it. But we have to move on to meat physics because we have shattered the Will Smith eating spaghetti benchmark. And, you know, that was the jokey one that every model went to for a long time. But VEO2, while it may be a little guardrailed against celebrity faces, the spaghetti eating capabilities of this model are chef's
very,
kiss.
very good. And I think there's a couple other really cool ones we saw. Ethan Malik, who's a great person to follow in the AI space, has a ongoing AI video test where he tries to get an otter on a plane using an iPhone, which is pretty good.
Ethan had a prompt which was a distant shot zooms in to reveal a knight wearing a golden helmet. He begins to charge on his zebra, lowering his lance, charging towards a clockwork octopus. If you had asked me 3 weeks ago, is this prompt going to yield anything out of any video model? I'm like, you might get something riding a zebra, maybe. But this thing crushes it. And not only does it get the golden helmet, the zebra, but it gets the camera cut. Like it cuts in scene without editing to show you this weird steampunk metallic octopus with a giant analog clock on it. And it's really good looking.
It's unbelievable. And I think one thing, so Sora, which we talked about last week, is out there, and just everybody knows, like the Sora model that we're all using or used is really Sora Turbo. So there is a fancier version that they have out there. I think we should talk a little bit about what this means for Google right now. Google has been a punching bag a little bit in this space, right? Like when you compare them to like what OpenAI shipped and what they've been doing in the last, like, say, year. In fact, there was this big story that, you know, OpenAI dropped advanced voice right during Google I/O this year. And that was like trying to steal their thunder. This feels a lot like Google trying to steal the thunder of OpenAI. And I kind of think they've done it, right? This is what it feels like to me, is that this is Google planting a flag. Sir Demis Hassabis, the best in the world. We love you, Sir Demis. Come on our show. We think you're amazing. But he has really said, we are here and doing real work. Like we are doing the stuff that is frontier model based you need to pay attention to us. And I think, Kevin, we could also talk about some of the Gemini updates, which also kind of shocked me about how much better they're getting.
New models dropped, and I guess because we didn't get like a live stream of 3 engineers in holiday sweaters around a table, it didn't get a certain level of attention, but people are really starting to wake up. The new Gemini 2.0 Flash model, we touched on it briefly last week. Well, now there's Gemini 2.0 Flash Experimental Advanced.
So Google has not improved their naming techniques. I do appreciate that VEO is just VEO 1 and VEO 2, and it's not VEO Advanced 3. You go to gemini.google.com/app, and that's where their actual Gemini experience is. And on that page, you can drop down the menu, and you can choose any of the different Gemini Advanced models all the way up to Experimental Advanced. I played around with Experimental Advanced a little bit. It's pretty good. The one thing Experimental Advanced does not have is access to the real-time internet, but their 2.0 model does. And I have to say, Kevin, I've been getting into the game PoE 2, Path of Exile 2, and I used it for some real-time interactive stuff to get some tips yesterday, and it was pretty good. I also will say Advanced Voice now has access to the real-time internet of some sort, so Advanced Voice also gave me really good tips on this. I was trying both of them the other day, so definitely play around with both voice models.
So people are really taking to this new advanced model. The benchmarks are great. It seems to be really good with coding, with analysis, with comprehension of massive data sets. And they are advertising the longest context window in the world. And
a lot.
We sometimes get in the weeds here a little bit on this pod. We also try to make it for a broad audience. So this is a 1 million token context window. A broad generalization, think of a token as a word. It doesn't one-to-one translate to that, but if you think about it as a word, imagine how much context, 1,500 pages or so of data you can cram into this thing. It will remember it all. And so if you are doing analysis for your business, if you're writing a massive application, you're trying to make a cell phone game or create a server-side app, now you can just jam the entire code base into one conversation. And this is one thing that everybody has signaled will scale nicely, that behind closed doors, Microsoft has alluded that they have models that have infinite memory. This is what they're talking about. The ability to just jam unlimited tokens in there. So an AI that can keep context of all this stuff while you're asking it to solve problems or give you analysis, that in and of itself is a massive feature. And right now, Google is claiming they have the longest context window of anything out there, compared to like 200,000 or 300,000, I think, for Claude. I mean, it's a huge jump. So that's exciting. It's a little nerdy, but it's very exciting.
And one last thing to add on to that is that Sundar Pichai retweeted a post about Google 2.0 Flash hallucinations. We've talked about this for a hallucinations hallucinations are probably going to go
model?
down.
Is this experimental plus Flash hallucinations?
Yes, exactly. Actually, I'd be into that model.
Oops, all eyes.
But Google Gemini 2.0 Flash Experimental has some of the lowest hallucinations in the business right now. So we've said this again and again, these models are going to start hallucinating less. And I expect especially Google, who really needs to deliver an AI that cannot hallucinate if people are trying to get answers out of it, is going to be a big deal.
And a smart move, a shot across to OpenAI's bow. If you go to gemini.google, hashtag not an ad, you can try Gemini Advanced right now for free. Like they're giving you 1 month, get in. It's normally $19.99. And I might get off the bleachers for this one and actually try it for coding. I hope they integrate it with Cursor and some other things as well. I'm not going to bring Bleacher Benny up if that's right.
Let's not bring him back again.
So lots of exciting stuff coming out of the Google camp. I think most exciting, though, Gavin, is that there's been unconfirmed rumors that internally at Google, they've been going nuts because they found out that not every employee was subscribed to the AI for Humans YouTube channel.
Oh, damn. Who in Google is not subscribed, Kevin? That is insane. Get on that, Google. Every person in the Google Slack should be sharing this link right now. We need you to subscribe both to our YouTube and also on our podcast. We are audio podcast. You may be listening to an audio. You might be watching on YouTube. We have good audiences on both. Please share it with somebody. I got a really nice anecdote from somebody today who told me that they were seeing AI for Humans link get shared in their AI chat on Slack, but they didn't say it, even though they were a fan of ours. They hadn't said it ahead of time. So it shows you that people out there are actually talking about this show. And if you like it, share it with somebody you love.
Yeah, thank you. It's the only way we grow. It costs you $0. It does take a second of your time, so we acknowledge that and appreciate that. But thank you, everyone who is sharing.
We're going to talk a little bit more about Google later in the show. We got into Google Whisk, which is a very cool program that anybody can use that allows you to take a picture of yourself and put it in a location and make an AI photo out of it. We're going to talk about it in a second. But Kevin, now we have to transition to OpenAI shipping Moss. How about that? How about some dual OpenAI every day has been doing these real-time drops of new products, and there has some pretty cool stuff coming out. And speaking of nerdy, I thought you would kind of nerd out on this a little bit. ChatGPT is now released O1 in the API, and we'll explain a little bit of what that means, but also, in addition, has up the context windows.
The API means that if you're developing anything, you can now tap into the power of O1 natively within your app. So earlier I said, oh man, I hope Cursor implements this. Cursor is a programming environment that I use to make apps and little tools to help out various companies. Well, now we should be able to tap directly into O1 and run it natively within that. So if you're building anything, having that direct software layer access to O1 unlocks a lot of possibilities. The context window getting larger is something that I was just talking about with Gemini. It means you can jam more tokens and they're more understanding of whatever. Is 13 Harry Potter novels? Is it a massive script? Is it every financial piece of data your company has? Well, you can fit more in there now. 200,000 tokens, I think, is what they're up to now, which is quite a bit away from what Gemini
I've been waiting
just
to
announced.
make my Barry Trotter series. And Barry Trotter is a older Harry Potter who's kind of gotten divorced and he's trying to relive his life. He's living and he's got a sports car, but he lives in a pretty crappy studio apartment. So Barry Trotter is trying to rediscover the magic of his life. So if I took all 12 Harry Potter novels, and I think there are only like 7, by the way, and put them into here, I could have Gemini write the Barry Trotter's novels for me, and I don't have to do anything. Is that what you're telling me?
O1. Now that, yeah.
Sorry, O1. I could put it into both, and then I'll let them decide which is the best Barry Trotter. How about that?
Does Barry work out at Muscle Beach? Is he shirtless and really tan? Is he like RFK working out in jeans and a belt?
Yeah, he's really against vaccines too.
Whatever Barry's into. So look, OpenAI making advancements. Are they shipping? Sure. Are they stretching a little bit to hit the 12 days? Maybe, when you see what other companies are launching. But what about the rumors, Gavin, of a $2,000 a month OpenAI subscription?
Well, Sarah Fryer, their CFO, who we featured here, has been at the company just for a couple months, but it kind of dropped something interesting where she was saying that there's a possibility that it could be a $2,000 a month subscription. And by the way, I don't doubt it. If there's a world in the future where these models keep getting better and really you need to crunch something significant, do you think a genetics company isn't going to pay $2,000 a month for the highest possible model to do the most amount of compute? This is the kind of thing where, you could tell me a $10,000 a month subscription would be possible, and I wouldn't doubt it. The one thing that the end of 2024 has shown me is that we are not slowing down. And I think everybody should be aware of that. There's a lot of people out there thinking we're going to slow down. However, Kevin, a return of a friend of the show, let's call him. I like to call him a friend of the show, even though he had no idea we exist. Ilya Sutskever came out of hiding. He came out of hiding and did a presentation at the Neural Information Processing Systems, a place that I go every year but couldn't make it this year, Kevin, a conference in Vancouver. And he had this to say about where we are with pre-training on AI. Take a listen.
But pre-training as we know it will unquestionably end. Pre-training will end. Why will it end? Because while compute is growing through better hardware, better algorithms, and larger clusters, right? All those things keep increasing your compute. All these things keep increasing your compute. The data is not growing because we have but one internet.
It's interesting to think of, data as the fossil fuel of AI, and that we're not going to really be making a ton more than that. I mean, there are Chinese startups, though, that are incentivizing people to go out and capture experiences with their phones. We talked about this, I think, a year ago. Wouldn't that be novel? Your experience miners, go out there and just record yourself or whatever. So I think we're going to discover new sources of data or create new sources of data. But by and large, I think that makes sense. And this is where we've been seeing the advancements in these reasoning models, for example. It's just throw more compute at it later and it gets way more capable. So we know that there's other foundational stuff in the works. We know that stuff is going to be coming out in the next year to 3 years, but I don't. What are your thoughts?
Well, so everybody should go listen to this talk. At least the first 20 minutes are pretty accessible. The actual end of it is him kind of talking about superintelligence, right? Which is what he's aiming to achieve. So one of the things he talks about with superintelligence is he talks about being agentic, which we've also talked about in this show, the idea that it can go out and do stuff, that it can reason for itself, and that it understands and is self-aware, Kevin. So in his mind, we are headed towards a self-aware AI, which I think will change how we interact with it, especially if it's unpredictable. That's the biggest thing he talks about, is the fact that the AI, super intelligent AI, will be unpredictable. So, we're going to be, the next couple of years are going to be real interesting, everybody.
Hey, whatever. As long as we have time to distract ourselves with shiny toys like Pika 2.0,
Yes.
Gavin.
Yes.
Pika
Pika.
Labs makes a good text and image to video model that seems to be getting better, at least in terms of the tool set. And they added something called scene ingredients, which is very exciting. You can get control and consistency over your video generations by adding a subject, by adding a scene, and by adding a style, basically. You have these like different ingredients that you can play with. I've seen people building entire commercials, making themselves fly and interact with products. And it's not a foundational video model that wows like the VEO2, but it's a cool feature set that makes me say, oh, that can only really be accomplished with Pika right now. And that's a differentiator.
Yeah, and Pika did a good job with those little squishy things they did recently, where they kind of released this thing where you could squish a picture or you could make the hydraulic press. One of the things that's really interesting about this, Kevin, and I think this is going to be the case for not fully funded models, is that they are allowing famous people. And I don't necessarily think this is something you're ever going to see Sora do or anything like that, but they don't seem to have much of a facial restriction on what you can upload. So I've seen videos of like John Wick and Gordon Ramsay doing stuff together. So this transitions really interestingly to our next story, which is that CAA, the Creative Artists Agency, one of the big agencies in LA here, and YouTube have agreed to terms on an AI rights deal. And what this means basically is that it's the kind of the first step. We've been expecting something like this, that the agency is trying to be artist forward, at least according to what they're saying in public is, and YouTube is trying to be very aware of artists and actors and all that stuff themselves. So there's some sort of a scenario here, which ostensibly is being set up as we're protecting the rights of people as they get uploaded. My second theory with this is it is in a way for the agencies and the actors themselves ultimately to profit off of their likenesses in AI, which I think we knew was going to come and is a part of what this whole world is going to lead to.
The same way we see Content ID flagging clips in YouTube and sometimes automatically diverting ad funds to whoever has the claim to the copyright, we're going to see that with likenesses, right?
Yes,
so if AI LeBron pops up as a guest,
that's exactly right.
in our show, LeBron could say, actually, as much as I love Kevin and Gavin and hang out with them all the time and think that they're super cool dudes and really pretty good at ball, I don't approve that likeness. I don't approve that being there. And either the clip goes bye-bye or our precious ad dollars go to LeBron, so we can.
Well, it's just like you're right, and it's we just swished. Did you swish a basket there? Is that what happened?
Well, no, that was his baby powder thing.
Oh, I thought he was going back and swishing a basket, but it's just like
LeBron doesn't really shoot. I mean, I know his form really well. That's not really. It was more of the baby. It's fine. It's
okay,
fine.
Fair enough.
We
Let's
ball,
keep moving on.
and we've been new.
Anyway, it's very much like YouTube's deal with record companies, right?
Correct.
If you've uploaded a YouTube video that has a record, an actual official music piece attached to it, you know that some of that, if not all of that revenue from your YouTube video gets directed to the record company. Kevin, I think we should pick like some random actor, though, that we should tell, go and let you be the person to do all this stuff. Like, who's
Joey
the guy
Fatone.
that plays?
Joey Fatone. Joey Fatone.
That's a great
Get
idea.
Joey in there.
Joey Fatone. We are calling on you, Joey Fatone, to be the one who says, use my right in anything. Be the breaker of this thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe the guy that plays Shooter McGavin, but Joey Fatone is even better.
That's good too. Yeah, that's
yeah.
good. But we want you to basically be the Grimes of Hollywood.
Yes, exactly. Joey
Put your
Fatone
likeness
is
out there.
perfect.
Let us do it. We got some good big fat Greek wedding memes that we want to bring back with the help of you and Alora. Also, okay, celebrities opting out of something is one thing. I honestly think that sort of protection needs to roll out for anybody who wants to verify in their system and be recognized. I hate that it's like, oh, we'll do rights and royalty protection and guardrailing for those that we feel deserve it. How about for everyone, number one? Number two, something interesting popped up on the AI for Humans YouTube studio. Oh, you have it right there. There it is.
I have it right here. In the YouTube studio, which is if you're on YouTube or you're a YouTuber at all, you know that you do a lot of stuff in the YouTube studio app. This came up and it said, you can now choose if you want to allow third-party companies to use your content to train AI models in studio settings. I can choose, AI for Humans can choose to allow or not allow third-party. Which is my other question is YouTube a second party or are they a third party? So we have to assume that VEO is very good in part because YouTube is part of Google.
Right. Well, also, Gavin, if you tap that affordance, does it say that here's your incentive to allow a third party to train? Like, are you offered money to offer up your video to those third parties? Because I guarantee, I
Look, I'll do
guarantee
it right now in real
Google's
time.
getting a couple dollars to open up their garden to
It
anybody
says
who wants
learn
to train.
more. Oh God, it's just some damn long. See, I'm already ignoring it. No, it's too late, Kevin. I said yes. We're screwed. AI for
great.
humans is usable in everything now. Go use us and use our faces in everything.
Maybe the potted plant on our desks will end up in a generation.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty
if you don't know
funny.
that
Yes.
reference, MKBHD, a notable tech journalist, very popular YouTuber. There was a Sora video generation of a tech influencer doing a cell phone review, and I'll say iconic little green plant that sits on his desk ended up in that video generation. Could
crazy.
be coincidence.
Kevin, you know what isn't coincidence? Santa Jensen Huang from Nvidia's CEO came out and did a little Christmas video for us, and he introduced a new computer that is called the Jetson Nano Super, another fantastic AI name. But what this is, Kevin, is a $250, almost like supercomputer, what used to have been considered supercomputer on a chipset that's about as big as a Pop-Tart, which is pretty incredible. And the reason why Jensen introduced this is specifically for robotics, because you can imagine within all these humanoid robotics that NVIDIA is really pushing for, and again, is a great source of new NVIDIA income, which is selling these chips into robotics. This is a big deal because what it means is like an AI-focused computer chipset is now available for relatively cheap, and you can put it into something that's really not that big. So I think sometimes we leave off the robotics discussions a little bit from these shows, but I just want everybody to know, like, robots are coming fast. Like, I would not be surprised if a year from now, next year, if like the story is not robotics, because I think 2025 is really going to become a year where we start seeing these go into real production. Like, I keep expecting to see, you know how you see Waymos in LA? If you're in LA or San Francisco, you see Waymos everywhere. It's kind of used to it. At some point soon, you're going to be walking around and you will see a humanoid robot, and that will feel really freaking weird the first time you see it.
Yeah.
And then the fifth time you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah, that probably just going to the grocery store to pick up some cream for that old lady.
You'll throw a
that works
shoulder into it because you have to establish your dominance. And be like,
Exactly.
right now I can take you out before you
Exactly.
crush my femurs with your hydraulic limbs. I dodge Cocoa delivery robots on the
those things are the
sidewalk all the
worst.
time. If you don't know, a Cocoa delivery robot looks like a Temu version of a Wall-E robot. It's like a laundry basket on wheels with giant flashing lights that are annoying, especially at night. They will blind you. And they just sort of roll about at odd hours, I guess, delivering cold food to people. But it's already become like a normal thing to hope the Waymo doesn't run you over while you're running through a crosswalk, dodging a Cocoa robot. Yes, I think the bipedal android is coming. The Jetson Nano Super are going to accelerate that. But again, $250 is what this thing costs for 70 trillion operations per second. If you're doing anything with large language models or AI, or to your point, building robots, it's so wild that they're releasing that. And I also love that he pulls it out of the oven to serve it like a holiday
I know.
treat.
Jensen's getting good at those. He's getting good at those videos, right? In
I
general.
love it. Well, you know who's not really good with AI, Gavin? Can I take a second here to
Sure.
complain
Go ahead.
about
Yeah.
Pimmy Apple? I am so embarrassed to be
Wow.
it's honestly it's embarrassing. I am not like an Apple fanboy by any stretch, but I certainly do my fair share of defending the ecosystem to a lot of folks, and their implementation of AI is laughable. Apple has been selling Apple Intelligence in devices that did not have it enabled, and we got a taste of it last week as they rolled out new updates, and I have not found a solid use case for it yet. In fact,
Kevin, don't tell me this. I just upgraded about 2 months ago. I don't need to hear that I picked the wrong system, that I should have been on Google at this point. I'm stuck
No,
for 3 years.
No. I have full faith and confidence that they'll sort it out, but it feels so half-baked. And I've been using it, I don't have it on my cell phone. I've been using it on the desktop.
Yeah.
It is so half-baked into Mac OS that Siri is this awkward middleman, like middle management that nobody asked for now.
Absolutely.
Where Siri's trying to field something or trying to figure out if it needs to go to ChatGPT. Then it goes to ChatGPT. I wait again. A new window like pops up, a little bubble that animates. ChatGPT says, yeah, sure, I can help you with that request. What do you need? And I'm like, oh no, I already made the request. You should know exactly what I need. Then it'll go out to give it, and it gives me this tiny little formatted window when, by the way, I got the ChatGPT app on my desktop. I'll just use that. It's so much better. I can do advanced voice. This is an introduction to AI for a lot of people when they turn this thing on, and it is just inconsistent. It's cumbersome. The UI feels like half-baked completely, and quite frankly, it's annoying. It's annoying to bounce between the two and then go to my ChatGPT window and see all of the little one-off requests that I had made of my operating system taking up chats.
I don't think it's that useful, right? And the thing that keeps popping up in my face are those dumb summaries that they summarize my spam. It just show me the dumb newsletters that I subscribe to that I don't really want, but it's just summarizing those things. I agree with you. It feels half-baked. I'm not sold entirely on it yet. I would love to see Siri get really good. Like maybe if the local Siri can be really good, or that the ChatGPT feels like it's an immediately shot, that could be interesting.
It's just not there now. And again, they've got enough money and enough data that they can get their way there. And as the chips advance, I'm sure they can run 4.0 level something locally on phones or on laptops. That's fine. But just really, really bummed with the rollout as it exists now, and wanted to say something because people were asking about it.
Kevin, it looks like I think somebody's calling us right now. We're getting a call. Apple Intelligence might be messing up again. I don't know. It's weird.
Hello, is this a ChatGPT? Mamma mia, this a furnace. She's driving me crazy. I can't take it no more. She's down there making a clunk, like she's got a grudge against me personally. I press the buttons. Nothing happens. Just a more clunk. These newfangled contraptions, they make no sense.
So, okay, I'm sorry, Gavin, this was someone called the AI for Humans hotline?
That sounds like he's thinking he's talking to ChatGPT. Should we tell him he does not have ChatGPT, but he's actually talking to AI for Humans, the podcast?
What's this now? I for what? I don't know what you're talking about. This is the furnace hotline. No? I got a problem here.
No, it's not the
and
furnace
you two
hotline.
sound like smart guys. So, podcast or no podcast, can you help me with this furnace or what? Clunk, she goes. Let's fix it. Anthony, I said, turn down the TV. Am I on the line here?
Okay. Does he think
Anthony?
I'm Anthony? I don't know who Anthony is here, but he thinks we're going to repair a furnace. Is this the problem with ChatGPT having a 1-800 number?
We might as well just try to get a little bit more information about what's going on with him in his life. I'm not sure we can fix his furnace, but maybe he knows what the brand name is of it, so we can look it up for him.
What do you mean? You're a smart guys. You can figure it out. Okay, listen.
Okay.
Here's the scoop. She's an old unit, maybe 25 years. She's more stubborn than my Aunt Maria at a card game. The thing's got one of those pilot lights, but every time I try to light it, poof, she goes out. And then the clunk starts. I checked the thermostat. Didn't touch nothing. I banged it a little, maybe more than a little, but that used to fix everything.
No.
Anthony, you're sitting right there. You can help. But no, just Baywatch.
Oh, okay. Why are we interrupting our podcast to help us when Anthony can shut off Baywatch and help?
I do have something, Kevin, that we should be giving our AI co-host because, yes, he's a sweet old man, but we might as well do. We haven't done this for a while. We have a drink that we can give our AI co-host that makes him a little weird. It is called Monster Milk, and Monster Milk is a concoction that Kevin and I came up with. It is a prompt, and just so everybody's out there, whoever this is, what's his name? Do we have a name for this guy?
I don't think we've got it out of him yet. No, he just thinks we're ChatGPT.
This is an AI that we created, and we clearly another giant failed bit from our AI co-host, which is always fun. But Kevin, let's give our friend here a little bit of Monster Milk and have him say Merry Christmas and wish us a good New Year.
Mamma mia, but these monsters are turning me into a freaking madman. Ooh, listen, you two, Kevin, Gavin, whoever you are, I'm going in this furnace. She's dead to me. Boom.
Oh, no.
I'll rip the pipes out of the wall. The clunk, no more. Who needs heat? I'll light the whole damn house on fire if I have to.
No, don't do that.
And Anthony, get off the damn couch and do something useful for once in your life, you boom. I swear on Saint Rosalia, if you don't get up, I'll...
Oh, he's gonna whoop, whoop.
Boom, clank. Okay, the furnace is dead now. Rest in peace, you piece of junk. Hey, AI for humans. You guys, you crazy genius guys. Happy holidays. Hey, whoop, 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 whoop. You nice say, guys, but I gotta go. Anthony, I said, shut off the TV.
Well, there he goes. Monster Milk wins again, everybody. We are in a world where poor Anthony, I'm sorry, but your furnace is no longer. You will have no heat for Christmas, but clearly you've got a fun father there. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Kevin, it's time where we take a look at some of the stuff people are doing with AI this week online in AI. See what you did there.
Sun turns just rolling without a care. Then suddenly you stop and shout. AI, see what you did there. AI, see what you did there.
Kev, this week we've got some really fun, quick stuff. One thing I wanted to point out that I thought was just a really interesting way to use Midjourney, which we haven't talked a lot about lately. Midjourney is still out there. Somebody in the subreddit had a prompt that says, a person protesting something weird. And this is just a series of Midjourney outputs where they are people protesting. And the first one, it says, I'm not a banana. It's somebody in a banana suit. There's one that says, let's bring back the dinosaurs, walking around with a sign that says that. There's one that says, save the weird. There's one that says, I'm a time-traveling robot and I don't exist.
Stop the big egg.
Yeah.
That was one of my the person has like an egg hat on and there's a weird floaty egg near an office building, but just stop the big egg got me.
And save the green apples. There's just a lot of weird things. This is the kind of fun that you can have with AI when you just come up with a very funny prompt and you let other people try to use it. So I love this. Nice work, key negotiation 9968. Good job.
I want to shout out something that Meta released, which I don't think got any flowers whatsoever. It is a video watermarking tool, basically. It's an approach that they have open sourced, and it allows you to embed and hide a hidden message or phrase within a video that supposedly is imperceptible to humans, and it's resilient enough that if you were to blur the imagery or try to flip it or distort it in some way, it can still be detected. And supposedly that applies to even like filming it. The watermark should still remain. I'm sure this will be defeated fairly quickly and easily. Someone will make an AI to sort of defeat this version of it, but it's just good to see that someone is still trying to advance that, because I feel like a year and change ago, the big story was, oh, people are going to come together, Adobe and Google and even Meta and OpenAI, and they're going to make a thing. And it's like, nah, they're really, they really aren't going to do that. It's called Meta's Video Seal. It's a state-of-the-art open source model for video watermarking. You can go to the website, we'll link it in the show notes, and you can actually try to embed a hidden message within a video file, and then you can mess around with it and see how it manages to remain. I think we need more of this stuff as we enter this weird post-truth, can't trust anything world that we arguably are already in. So thank you, Meta.
There's a new tool called Cap4D from a guy named Felix Topner, who's a PhD student at the University of Toronto, who's working on 3D generative face animation. And this is a very simple way to take any photo and turn it into a 3D avatar. He says he calls them 4D avatars, which I assume also means that you'll be able to use them in 3D space. But it is a one-click solution. It is just a very cool way to kind of change how you can get something that's morphable into essentially a puppet. So this goes to your point, Kevin. We definitely need people out there who are making sure that we know this stuff is AI, because this is allowing you to basically take any picture or any person, including like paintings and things like that, and turn them into maneuverable, manipulable faces.
And the output looks really good as people are scrunching their faces and doing exaggerated expressions. Like, very, very cool. I hope Cap4D comes to Pinocchio soon.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of Pinocchio, there's a new Pinocchio out, right? You want to tell everybody what that's about?
That's right. You know, again, hashtag not an ad. We shout them out all the time because it's an easy and fun way to run a lot of these cutting edge AI tools. But Cocktail Peanut released Pinocchio 3.0, latest version of the desktop software that allows you to run a lot of these projects without having to know how to set up all these different repositories and download dependencies and keep track of version numbers. But basically, grab Pinocchio.computer. It makes running stuff nice and easy. That was, again, not an ad for Pinocchio, but what is an ad is this call to outcome for the AI for Humans newsletter. You have to subscribe. You have to get there. And what is the outcome? Because the call to action, Gavin, would be go, subscribe, sign up. It's free. It's great. It's packed with amazingness, and it delivers every Tuesday morning. People love it. People open it. They share it. They cherish it. But what is the outcome? What will happen if people go and subscribe, Gavin?
I mean, they'll get a really cool newsletter in their email.
Sick. That's sick.
Okay, good. That's
really
where
sick.
you were going with that.
There's no wrong
We're not
answer.
giving
What's the
away some
outcome?
sort of like a coupon or like a gift card to Applebee's, are we?
No.
Or
no,
are
that's,
we?
Only one way to
Maybe
find out.
one
Let's go
random
to,
subscriber will get a $10 Applebee's gift card. If you're lucky, you will be able to afford
that's two patrons a month
of a
wiped
martini.
out. We can't do that. Yeah. Yeah. A happy hour. You can get your jalapeno poppers on us. Go to aiforhumans.show. Sign up for our newsletter. It is free. It is fun. And the line is going up there. So we believe people are enjoying it. So thank you for that. Now, we have to talk about what we did with AI this week, Gavin. Every week we try to get our hands on it and mess around with it. And I think we both played with Google's tool, Google Whisk.
Yeah, so Google Whisk is a very cool thing. We have seen a couple open source models that can do this. We talked about one maybe a month ago or so, but basically it allows you to take an image of a person. It allows you to take an image of a setting, and then it allows you to take an image of a style and combine all those three. And what's very cool about this is like anybody can do it. This is like click and drop. It is the simplest thing, and it works pretty well. My experience with it, Kevin, is I took a picture of myself. One of the things I took from the thumbnail. And then I took a picture of of a spaceship, the space shuttle kind of launching and all the smoke cloud below it. And then I said 90s anime, because by the way, if you are into making anything anime, like 90s anime is a very cool prompt because it kind of has that, not like modern anime is a little bit crisper. It has that almost like kind of very hand-drawn kind of vibe to it. And you'll see in this video, like what it did is it took all those things. It changed my face a lot. Like it definitely made me look different slightly. So I don't think that aspect for me worked, but it's pretty cool. It has a picture of me, like, standing in a spacesuit, because my prompt for it was man stands in spacesuit on a spacewalk. So it got the fact that I was in a spacesuit, but it's not really having me on a spacewalk. And then I sent you the video, which I animated with Kling, which I thought actually Kling did a really good job. In the video, I said the salute, and it almost looks like a really fun, like, space propaganda video. You know what I mean? Like you could hear like the Star Spangled Banner playing in the background where I tell you to like, you too can join Space Force. It's that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's crazy that the rocket itself is still burning that bright when it's
out of
in
orbit,
space.
right?
Yeah, it's out of orbit. It's actually
amazing.
nuking our entire atmosphere, actually.
Exactly.
But, hey, awesome. I used it similarly, Gavin. I tried putting you into a tender, loving Hallmark scene with Shrek, and it kind of did it, but it does. What I'm finding is that when you give it a subject, it is kind of reinterpreting that subject. It is generating new art. It's not trying to put that exact subject into the scene. And that's where things get wonky. Like, for example, I've been consulting for Telly, which is a dual screen smart TV. It's a very particular looking product, right? It's got a big screen, sound bar, and another screen down below. And when I fed that into the engine and told it to put this TV in a living room with this style, it got the living room part, and it kind of modified what I gave it to make it its own. It got the style part, the color palette, the tone, that was all there. The product itself, it turned into just a very, very rectangular, widescreen, single display.
TV.
And that's where I go, oh, it's not doing that. And that's what I think happened with you when I tried to make you as well. And then I tried to put Shrek and the Terminator, the T-800, into a scene together. And you could see that it made a version of the Terminator robot. The Shrek kind of comes out. You get a green ogreish person, and it nails the ears a little bit, but it's it's Shrek. It's kind of hard to tell if it's a one-to-one, but definitely it's interpreting the Terminator robot in its own way.
This Shrek kind of looks like it could be our AI co-host. Maybe this is where our AI co-host went, is that he went to go live his life with the love of his life after his furnace broke down. So it's not me, it's the love of the Shrek's life, and this is actually who it is. So now we have an image to go with it, I feel.
I also tried to recreate a Matrix Reloaded poster with Shrek and the T-800, and it turned everything into a 16:9 generation, but it got the Matrix text, it got the Reloaded font, it turned Shrek into an absolutely shredded.
Yeah, shredded.
Like Shrek goes full keto, human growth hormone, like definitely swinging kettlebells around, but it made the Terminator face look more Terminator. So it's weird the different results that you get, but as a quote unquote experiment, I think it was really fun, and both of us took to it and wanted to play with it right away.
And the most important thing is you can go and do this. Anybody can go and do this. Like the good thing about the labs.google site or whatever that site is, we'll put the link in the show notes, is that it does allow you to play around with these little toys. I wish they would make it so much easier to find these things. Like Google, you have to find some way to get your naming better so people can find it. But Whisk is open for everybody. You can get a kind of sense of it. It's a very fun thing to play with, and it works pretty well, and you can get a chance to do it if you want. All right, everybody, that is it for today's AI for Humans. Thanks so much, and we will see you next week.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.